Oh, you did call the V2V line, because now we're actually on.
I did indeed. Well, hi there.
Hey, I think this must be episode 27, I think.
Holy cow.
Because we did 25.
Yeah.
Which was all very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then 26 was, I think, the last one we did, and I can't even remember what it was about. Hey, did you ever go on Celebrity Rehab?
Yeah. I was on with a bunch of people, man. I was trying to get my career back together, so I started getting drunker on purpose to get in there. I wasn't drunk enough. No, wait a second.
It's just a thing I have, like,
wait a second.
I'm Dr. Bill. Yeah, it's just something about professionals who choose to go by their first name like that. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
But, hey, if he helped you, if Dr. Drew helped you out, then I guess more power to him. We were talking about the Cavanagh Syndrome, and I think part of the Cavanagh Syndrome is that things that happened recently seem like they happened years ago. Like, literally, like, what? Like, that just happened? Come on. No, that's got to be like 2 years ago that happened.
It does seem like a very long time ago that we talked about all that. A lot has happened since then.
A lot has happened. Yeah. Like more homeless people in Venice Beach.
Wow.
Hey, wow, that's a nice segue, huh?
I see what you did there.
It's a horrible thing. It has nothing to do with it. Or does it?
Yeah. So, let's talk about this. Because you're of the opinion that people are out there simply because they don't fucking want to work anymore, and people are done slaving.
This is what I think?
Yeah. Is that your opinion?
Well, okay, so I have a variety of opinions about why people are out there. That's certainly one of them. That's one, sure. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. How many people really are living unsheltered? It's got to be unsheltered, too, because the people in shelters don't count, I guess, or do they? I don't know. Like, the estimate's like 1,000 people on any given night? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
But there's a lot.
Yeah.
So why are they there?
Right.
They've always been there, I think.
Well, that's the other thing, right?
I mean, if you go back to like the 80s, really before our time, Venice Beach and Santa Monica too, that whole area, the whole beachfront area was known as the home for the homeless. It was kind of tagged with that name.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be living outside, where do you want to go? Like, you have the whole country. But you die in the winter cold back east. You fry in the desert,
You're uncomfortable up north.
It's too wet and rainy. I mean, maybe it's not freezing, but you're wet and you're moldy, literally. Up in the Northwest. So if you're going to be living outside, you're going to go to the West Coast and all the way to the West Coast to the ocean because you only have if you consider the outside world as a box with 4 sides, out at the beach you only have 3 sides.
Yeah.
Because of the ocean. You can't go any further. And the weather's great, and there's opportunity here for anybody, because that's what the dream is. That's what everyone's been told.
Yes.
Like, come to California and make your dreams come true out here in the porn industry, I guess. And I don't know what that dream is, other than women, weed, and weather.
Right.
So they've always been around. More people have moved to California, like, I guess to use a stupid word, legitimately. They moved out here with a job, or they moved out here and stayed inside and found work. And as the years have gone by, things have become progressively more and more expensive. No one's going to argue with that.
No.
That's just true.
Yeah.
And homeless people happen. And they go to the place that's going to be the most accommodating and comfortable for whatever reason. Like,
right.
I think the reasons people come out are probably less important than just the fact that people are there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, it's different for everyone.
Right. So we've got kind of that out of the way. Like, the people are here, and they live outside, and they come for a variety of reasons. And I don't know what other people want to really do with them, like, because they're people. Like, what do you do with a person? Homelessness isn't a crime.
No.
But a lot of steps have been made to criminalize certain aspects of homelessness, like sleeping on the sidewalk, or putting up a tent.
In LA, you can't sleep in a car, even. Yeah.
Sleeping
absolutely.
in a car, right? So even if living outside was viable, it's not allowed. It's criminalized, like, and it becomes like, what do they call it? Like, quality of life crimes, or something weird like that. So people get ticketed and either go to court and have fines, or they miss court and get bench warrants, and eventually spend some time in jail, and then they come back out, and then the cycle continues. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it. You and I have seen this, like, in person over and over and over again.
Endlessly.
So that further solidifies the problem of them being homeless. Like, there's not really the exits seem to be blocked for any reasonable way to remove themselves from that situation, if indeed they want to remove themselves from that situation, because they really just want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also, you get stuck as a human then. And if you're out there in particular and you're trying to make money, say bending or making art on the beach, then your goal becomes needing to make money every day with your art, not going to get services, which are on the other side of fucking town, by the way.
Right.
It's
And
not easy.
no, that's an important point. So then you look at, okay, so what services and are people entitled to them? Like,
Yeah.
or are these so-called services actually worse than the situation they're trying to get out of? Like,
Yeah.
like is going to a crowded shelter filled with disease and crowdedness and bad food and whatever else goes on there, is that better? Or is it just that those people aren't seen anymore as much? Is that part of it?
I think the complaint by the residents and those who pay taxes is that, they don't want to walk out onto their beach, which they consider their backyard, and see homeless people everywhere. That's their complaint.
Right. And sure.
But again, this is it's the grand capitalistic illusion. You know, it's sort of like, well, there are people who can't afford to live inside, but I don't want them near me. So let's shuffle them over to somewhere else where other people pay taxes but don't want to have them, but they're not in front of me here.
So it's interesting because so then the problem seems to become, if you're obviously homeless or you're filthy or you have an encampment that's a big mess and it's an eyesore, then you're a problem, like, to the general welfare of the community. Like, by anybody's standards, by other homeless people's standards. Like, there seems to be something lost on the people complaining about this problem when they try to paint the whole population as doing a particular thing. And that's kind of what I meant earlier about there's a variety of people doing different things for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if someone who lives there was doing the same kinds of things, like throwing garbage around or walking around unbathed or accosting people, would they be treated differently? You know, would that individual be targeted as a nuisance? Maybe rightly so.
Right.
You wouldn't start looking around and saying, oh, all these people in the houses are causing problems because this one particular person is causing a lot of problems.
Right.
That doesn't
You wouldn't
happen.
generalize. You wouldn't generalize. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. But the homeless population gets super generalized.
Of course.
And, full disclosure, I was out there living on the beach for a number of years, and I would this is crazy, I would be asked to get out of food lines with my buddy because we didn't look homeless. Like these people, this is for homeless people anyway, or only. And my buddy Kip and I would have to explain that, no, we qualify. We are indeed homeless, and we're in line to get food, just like that smelly guy up in front. And sorry, and they get all weird. Like, well, like how can it cause a lot of problems in their head? Like, how can you, looking normal from my standard, be in this line? What's going on with you? And we just kind of laugh it off. By the way, my friend, he He chose to be out there. He chose to sleep on the sidewalk. He had a job at a marina boat rental place. He worked there for 6 months, didn't miss a day, saved his money, and traveled around the world.
Amazing.
And no one ever thought he was homeless. In fact, we used to talk about tactics about how to appear not homeless. And one of the things was you can never ever have more than one bag.
Right.
Like a backpack. If you had a backpack and a bag, or a backpack and anything else, or sometimes just even a backpack.
Yeah.
That's a tell. Like, what are you doing out in the world with a backpack? Like, why isn't your stuff at home?
Right.
So we had all these hiding spots for our stuff.
Right.
And, we'd wake up and pack up and hide our stuff and then go out in the world and I would play music and he would, go to work and there, no one even knew.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people like that.
Of course.
There are a lot of people like that who aren't drug-addled, who aren't crazy. And this attitude that like, I can't even walk out on my beach anymore. There's human feces and needles and trash everywhere. It's just not true. It's not true. Like there may be incidents of that happening.
Yeah.
But the truth is that kind of thing happens everywhere. Everywhere. Like in the whole world. Like there's always that guy.
This is true, Marcus, but I mean, like, recently, the population of encampments and tents that are left up all day with, like, stuff is increasing in Venice. That is increasing. And that is something that people hadn't seen for a while because of the ordinance of, one, cops being able to roll on the beach with their fucking SUVs, which I still don't agree.
That's true.
I still don't agree with. And two, because there was a law about being allowed to have tents on the beach.
Right. So that's true. Okay. So when I said it's not true, I didn't mean ever. I meant that the majority of the people aren't doing that. The majority of them aren't doing that. Some are. Okay. Granted.
Yeah, this is true.
Some are.
This is very true. You've got maybe 30 tents out there, near Sunset, and you've got, maybe, another 30 to the right and another 30 to the left. And that's it. That's not majority of the people on the street. You're right.
It's not. So let's go back for a second and understand why this happened and why it was allowed, because it's important, because a lot of people don't understand what changed, because a couple years ago, that was totally off limits, like absolutely 100% not going to do it. The police would come by, ask you to take your stuff down, ask you to clean up. And so what happened, last year?
Yeah.
That a police vehicle ran over a sunbather?
Yeah.
Okay, was this person, do you know about this? I mean, like more specifically, was she homeless? Or was she just a tourist, or do you know?
I don't know.
Actually. It really doesn't matter. The argument, like who she is, like in that sense, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it might matter. It might matter to somebody. This was in the daytime, right? Or do you know?
Yeah. I don't know, but I would.
If she was sunbathing, I suppose it would be in the daytime if she was sunbathing.
Yeah, I would assume it was a sunbathing tourist too. Yeah.
Right, perhaps. Okay, let's just say that there was a lady on the beach in the daytime. Yeah, ran over, got injured, survived, but then there was a lawsuit, and there was an injunction, right, placed on the police regarding driving their vehicles on the sand. Now I saw quads out there recently.
Mm-hmm.
They're still driving those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what? I don't know what changed. Like, do you know why it's being allowed now?
I don't, but I do know that recently Venice 311 posted a blog, and they kind of like are police advocates and police, related. And they talked about how there's a specific area now on the beach where if you call 911, the police will not come out to you. They won't anymore out there.
Is that true, or do you know?
Yeah, I can actually, I can pull that up. Hold on.
Well, no, not that someone said it.
Yeah,
I get it. But is it really true?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know.
Well, that seems odd.
I know, right?
It does. It seems very strange.
I probably sure. No.
Because the police are mandated by law to respond immediately to a 911 call. If it's non-emergency calls are treated differently. Like non-emergency calls are put on the list of places they need to stop by, and oftentimes they either don't get to it or they'll come by an hour or two later because it's just on their list of tasks that they need to accomplish during the day if they have time.
Yeah.
But it was explained to me by a police officer the difference because what happened to me was I was fixing a bicycle, my bike.
Yeah.
Out on the beach, in a square, in a performance area, and someone from an apartment building saw me with a wrench and fixing a bike and called 911 on me, not because they thought I was stealing, not because they thought I was committing a crime, but because they thought I was vending bicycle services on the beach. And they called 911, and it took an hour for the police to find me because I had no idea, and I had left and gone somewhere else for a minute, and they were trying to find me. So eventually when they did, they were like, "What's going on?" I'm like, and I was like repairing my bicycle, but now I'm not. But my bike was still in the area. And they're like, "Well, you need to remove your bike from the area because someone in this apartment building said that you were vending bicycle services." And I said, "That's a 911 call? Like, that's an emergency?" And it's like, we don't get to dictate, like, what the emergency is, but if a 911 call comes through, we're required to respond immediately to it. So I'm like, all right. And we, kind of, laughed it off a little bit, like, whoa, that's odd. So, I mean, this was 3 years ago, I guess. So, wow, things have changed, in some ways. But we're kind of getting away from, now it's kind of turning into a police problem, though, now. Not a homeless problem anymore.
Right.
Because, there are some people who are breaking the rules or causing a mess or, I don't, so, I don't know. I don't know. Let's just put that aside for a minute, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really seem, it seems to be something that could be fairly easily solved.
Yeah.
If that could be reinforced that the beach isn't a place to set up your camp.
No, but you should allow people to sleep on that area that is between the beach and the boardwalk. And you should allow people to fucking camp on the boardwalk probably, too. It's logical.
Well, okay, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be allowed to sleep on the beach, camp on the beach, maybe even.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating that it shouldn't be allowed. I'm saying that if there are problems like that are specific, like say for instance, like if you're driving your car as a normal human being, you're following all the rules, you shouldn't be bothered, right? If you're speeding or if you're driving recklessly, if a police officer sees you doing that and you're endangering people or you're causing problems, you should be corrected.
Right.
You should be stopped and perhaps ticketed or told to or given a warning, or you should be informed that what you're doing isn't allowed by our collective society. Like, we've all decided that running red lights is a bad thing to do. We all agree, don't do that because you're going to get hurt. Somebody else is going to get hurt. If everyone ran the red lights, then you couldn't drive on the street anymore. If people are making giant messes on the beach, and it can't just be like, oh, there's a tent, I don't like it. I don't like that tent, or I don't like that person there. For whatever reason, I don't like them.
Yeah.
It's got to be something real, like, hey, look at that person dumped garbage all over the beach. Like, that one guy, not everybody, that one guy did this. So correct him. I don't know how, but if you start focusing on the individual doing it, you're going to have a lot better results than if you just color everybody with the same brush saying, oh, they're all doing it, because they're not all doing it.
But I feel like people who spread trash on the beach are probably not mentally well, and we don't have any services for them over here. We just don't. I mean, I guess we have step up, but I just feel like there's really no therapeutic help for mentally ill people. So you're always going to have that element of the homeless population that's mentally ill that's going to take, taxpayers' trash and spreading it all over the place.
Right, okay.
That's
a good point. Let's take a look at that then. The mentally ill guy, right, who's pooping on the beach and he's a mess and it's just disgusting, and he's even got IV drug paraphernalia and there's needles and or not, or he's just crazy.
Yeah.
He's a schizophrenic guy who yells at everybody, that guy.
And himself, the barker. Yeah.
Right? And so what happens if there are no services, really, to treat that guy? There really aren't. And everyone really understands that that's not the case. Or that is the case. That there's no place for him to go to. So what happens when he's put inside a home or a place to live or a shelter or someplace? He's still on his own, but now he's inside. He's going to be doing the same things, and he's probably not going to stay there.
Right.
Probably not, or he's going to get kicked out. So he's going to be immediately back on the beach doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Within days.
Yeah.
And people who pretend otherwise are fooling themselves.
And we've seen that a million times as well, you and I.
Personally,
yeah.
The guy who hit me.
Right.
George. Good old George. Yeah. And he's still there.
Mm-hmm.
He's still there. I haven't seen him, but I know people who know him. And they've informed me that, he's still there. In fact, Joey is his buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there are other people, because what happens is the past gets erased.
Of course.
As it does. And
I know.
people get to renew themselves, and And they don't, the people that they meet, they don't know the history. And this
Yeah.
guy, he was a friend of mine. Like, he could pull it together. Like,
Yeah.
and be rational. And then not, and so
Anyway,
homes and shelters aren't going to solve that particular problem.
Yeah. So what do we do?
Well, it's a good question. It's a good question. Yeah. I'm here. Don't worry, we can edit out these long gaps. It's fine.
Okay, but sorry.
No, it's cool. Like, it's really easy. Just clip it out.
But what do we do? I mean, like, honestly, like, there's no answer for that, and you're always going to have that element among the good people and the clean people who do not have a lot of stuff. You know?
So, it's really interesting, if and when these temporary housing, or I don't even know what they're called, this bridge housing kind of comes into place, or if it does, like, who's going to move in there?
Right.
And is it going to be the rational folks, who seem to be doing okay living outside, or, who,
right.
Or is it going to be the misfits who aren't going to fit in there either? How is that even just going to be decided? People are going to line up? I have no idea. Like, I've never heard that explained to me. How these units are going to be occupied, and by who, and who gets to pick.
Yeah,
it's a good question to ask. I don't know. Maybe people who hear this, I hope that there's a discussion that begins, in the comments.
Yeah.
Because I think we're making some pretty interesting points about how insolvable this really is.
Indeed.
What's next? Like, because it's only going to get progressively worse if it doesn't get better. Because it's going to turn into the new normal.
Exactly.
But a lot of the people complaining about it are like, they're just complaining. They're not offering any reasonable ideas that could actually help people.
No.
Like, I don't even know what those are. Wow.
I know a lot.
Yeah, right? Like, we're usually pretty talkative, and when we both can't find anything to say, they kind of mean something. It's just sad, too. Like, the whole thing is just like...
so incredibly sad. Oh my God, Marcus, because there's nothing that can be done. So unless society accepts that there's going to be a dude out there who's trashing everything and making everything a fucking mess, there's no way to, appease anyone. We're all just going to be upset with it.
It's interesting, like, where all this garbage comes from, too, which is kind of a mystery, I guess, because, it comes from somewhere, and it comes from, consumers who, I guess, throw their garbage away, and then it gets, retrieved by the homeless guy, I guess, like our one guy we're talking about who represents, several people, but, that one guy, he's dumpster diving, and he's finding stuff, and and gathering it up because he likes it. It's bright or shiny, or he thinks he can use it for something. But here's another funny thing about because what's the main complaint really? That it's like the garbage, right, or the encampments or the eyesores. Like that's really at the heart of it. Like and people complaining about crime. That seems to be like the things that people are most concerned about, and that those are legitimate concerns. But how often is it the person inside who's just dumping their shit out in the alleys and not disposing of stuff properly and really gifting garbage to the people that are roaming around outside? It happens all the time.
All the time.
The problem would be greatly lessened if the people inside, and again, it's not, it's not everybody. It's some people who live inside have no regard for what happens on the outside, but their neighbor does. So their neighbor disposes of their stuff properly. But the one person who lives inside is willing to dump his shit all over the alley because he knows for a fact that it won't be there for long.
Right.
It's going to be picked up and by some guy, his whatever it is, wood or old computer or all of that crap. It's going to and if it's too bulky to carry, if it is interesting or it's old or out of date, somebody's going to grab a shopping cart and throw that bulky thing in the shopping cart and haul it away so they can have it and pretend that it's real, or pretend that it's a cool computer because it's from the 90s and it doesn't work anymore. All of that garbage. Because it's ultimately it's not really like garbage in a lot of cases. It's stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. And where does that stuff come from? It comes directly from inside, from people who don't give a fuck about putting stuff out on the street.
It's true.
Right. So if the people complaining about stuff outside would turn to their neighbors who are actually dumping stuff outside and say, please don't do that, that would solve some of the problem.
Yeah, it would be really nice if there was an enforcement where, like, when you went out to take out your trash and you saw that your neighbor had dumped stuff like that maybe you call the cops on that neighbor.
Right. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? It's insane. Right?
Because that's the root of this. Everything you see out there is coming from some selfish motherfucker in your neighborhood who left shit outside in the alley.
Right.
You are not being nice, you are not being kind, you are not helping us or the homeless people. You're not helping. You're creating this mess out there because this person can't control themselves.
Right.
They're not in reality. So you have to think. We're lowering this to a micro thing, but there's probably like 30 schizophrenics out there right now, or, maybe 50. And you've got to think, you guys who are listening to this, Dennis residents, you've got to think about what you're throwing away like that and what you're putting out. Fucking take it to a dump, please. Yeah.
I have a funny story for you. So I was pretty good at finding like art supplies in recycling bins. That's usually where I would look, and I wasn't like digging in garbage. I would look just like superficially on top.
Yeah.
And so I'd find like, I found weed I found just a bunch of stuff, paint, wood,
Yeah.
just a bunch of interesting stuff. And I used it, and I didn't make a mess, you know, and I was respectful of the environment, and I don't want to use last names, but Mike C, right?
Yeah.
He came up to me one day. He's like, "Hey, dude, I need to find like a frying pan and it's something else, and he needed a few items, right?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, just believe me, like there's so much stuff out there right now that you can go like find all of that." Like I was guessing, right? And like within an hour, he came back. He had a frying pan. He had, he had all of the stuff that was had been thrown away. Now this stuff was thrown away legitimately, but here's the other thing with garbage and garbage cans. Once people throw stuff away, it's no longer their domain. It's no longer their property. Like it's not illegal to dumpster dive. It's not. So the solution there, perhaps, is to, you know, enforce locking up your garbage, and it's a pretty low cost solution, really. I mean, it's something.
It would
it's
definitely,
something.
Yeah, it would definitely be a start to sort of like stopping this thing that's going on.
So, right, coupled with the idea of really coming down, even socially, maybe, you know, not necessarily legally if it doesn't have to be done, but at least socially, to not have people dump stuff in the street. Like those two things could help the problem with all of the stuff and the big encampments, because that's where it all comes from.
Correct.
So then we have like the so-called, you know, drug epidemic.
Yeah.
And that too is just like, it's really, now I don't want to say it's blown out of proportion, but where do the drugs come from?
Well, it's blatant hypocrisy is what it is.
Well, that too. But where do the drugs come from? Do they come from the streets? They come from people who live inside.
Correct.
You know? They do. Like, there might be a homeless guy who has his like stash of drugs that he sells for like $5 a shot or a hit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that person gets his supply from a person who lives inside. Guaranteed. Every
This
time.
is correct. And most likely from someone near LAX or Inglewood.
Or Venice. Or Venice. How do you think that person can afford to live in the apartment he lives in?
True that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, like, this isn't just speculation. We know.
Yeah.
You know, we know this to be true because we've known people who've done this. And, you know, these street level homeless drug dealers, like, I gotta go to my dude's house to pick up the stuff.
Yeah. And it's not that far.
And it's not that far.
It's
really close.
Yeah.
So you might have to jump on a bus or something. Or not. Or you might just have to go, you know, I don't know.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, I won't name names, but I knew someone living on Market, just, you know, right off the boardwalk in an apartment up there. like paying $3,000 a month for that apartment at the time.
Right.
And they were only selling items.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so I know, because I used to go up there myself to, sometimes get items.
Right.
And
Right.
so I know this is going on there, and I happen to know that this apartment is still active there. So with a new person living.
I think I even know what you're talking about.
Right. So I mean, like, these things are not happening. Very, very local people.
Right. And so yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's an eye opener to people who haven't really thought about that. Like, the drug problem was born and raised inside, and is being pushed, literally pushed out onto the beach.
Correct.
Because these homeless people that are being complained about, they don't have the access to any of this stuff. It's given to them so that they can create more demand for the guy inside.
Correct.
And what about all the theft that's going on, right? Like, it just, like,
right.
where do people think all the stuff that gets stolen goes to? Like, hey, my bike was stolen. Oh. Like, or my bike was stolen from inside my building. That was one that was recently touched on.
Yeah.
It was all the stuff that gets, stolen, and granted, a lot of times it's taken by people, like homeless people stealing from homeless people, or homeless people stealing or cutting locks on bikes. That's all true. Like, I'm not saying that's not true, but when they get the item, oftentimes, and maybe more often than not, those items are sold to people with money. And who's got money? People who live inside. The people who live inside are buying stolen property from off the beach. They're buying it. They're supporting the theft.
All the time. So residents, if you don't want this happening, you could maybe stop buying it from the people on the beach. But that's not going to stop it happening.
No, because you know how much stuff on the beach costs? Probably less than $50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get a really nice bike and give it to your friend, or as a gift, or whatever the case is. Like, keep it for yourself. You got a homeless friend who's gonna like fix it up for you because he's a bike guy who's also stealing bikes.
Yeah.
But he's cool because he's getting you deals on bikes. I know also I also know this for a fact. Like, this isn't speculation. I could take you to people's homes who are doing this, like, right now. Like direct experience. I know who's got the stuff, and I mean, this is going back, right? This is going back years, but people I know happen to tell me who they were selling this stuff to. Like, it's insane, and they all live right up the sidewalk too. It's not like they're, there's this myth that all the stolen stuff is being, like, taken to like downtown LA or South Central. Not very true. Some stuff gets stolen and is brought to Venice from there, But then that stuff that's brought to Venice from outside the area is sold to people inside in Venice. It's insane.
And like I do know people who buy things from homeless people that are stolen from people in Venice,
Right.
and then they take it downtown and sell it for a little bit more, or they take it somewhere else and sell it for more.
Sure.
Even
right. Because of the low cost of buying something off the boardwalk, people know that they can get a deal there, and then put it in their truck and drive it somewhere else, or put it up on Craigslist or whatever the case is, and double their money. Yeah. And then pay their, and then they can help pay their rent controlled house that they've inherited. So many of the people complaining about this stuff couldn't afford to live there unless they were grandfathered in too. And they have every right to have a good deal on their home. Like I'm not taking that away from anybody. That's cool. That's fantastic. Like I wish I had that deal. But then to turn around and complain about the people who are down and out.
Yeah.
Well, unless you had the good deal, you might be right there with them, because in a lot of cases, it's just bad luck.
Yes.
And I don't know if I really have anything else to say about this, but I will say this, that the people who are complaining about homeless people who are convinced that all they need to do is try harder, get a job, lift themselves up by their own bootstraps, then the people complaining should do exactly the same thing and get wealthy, because there shouldn't be any barriers to them getting more and more money, right? Like if the guy with nothing suddenly had the ability to be able to afford to live in a reasonable way just by force of will, then shouldn't the person who's inside just have the same ability to better their own situation? Like why is it different?
Right.
Why is that person plateaued at a particular level in their life, but they're saying that the person who has less than they do has the ability to rise to their level, because there are a bunch of wealthy people who consider the wage slaves or the people, who don't make $1 million a year just as scummy as the people who live in homes and apartments think of the homeless people.
Exactly.
It's true. Like, they're like, they consider these people like, well, actually, you know who they are, the people who live in the homes and who aren't incredibly wealthy. They're the worker bees for the millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah, they're all their slaves.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
right.
You're all slaves. Yay! You live in fucking Venice on the beach, and you're a fucking slave. Yay!
Right.
I mean,
it's not about putting people down. It's about recognizing the humanity of everybody involved. Like these are
really
arguments. These are arguments.
This is all the flaw. That's really the most important thing. I mean, this is just all human flaw. We all do this, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because we live in a capitalist society. We all do this. You don't think the clean homeless person looks down upon the crazy dude throwing trash?
Of course they do.
And I suppose the crazy dude... Yeah.
In fact, the clean homeless people, and this is another thing that we know firsthand, will do more. They'll do more than the person complaining about the dirty homeless person who's living in a house. They will do more to solve that problem than anybody.
Yeah.
Like right? They will they're the police, in a lot of places. They're the community police where they will ban and banish or beat up or get rid of this troublemaker because it's shedding a really bad light on everybody because the reasonable homeless people understand how the one guy colors everything. Even if it's not true, they know the attitudes of the people who are complaining about perhaps legitimate things, but they color everybody with the same brush. And this is something that I've experienced firsthand. People have come out onto the beach and pointed stuff out and blamed everybody in the area for it when it's no, we know who's doing that and we're doing our best to take care of it. But they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that for a second. They're like, no, it's all you. Well, it's not. So let's, there may not be a solution, but there are things that should be, I think as we've done, brought to light about what's really going on here. And to remember that, these are all people, These are all people who have lives and needs and families and all kinds of stuff. I mean, the people that you spoke about today with, who moved back. These aren't crazy people. These aren't dirty people. No. And there are children, I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
Are they to blame? No. Not for 1 second. And when I knew them there before, they were model citizens.
Yes.
Absolutely. And they're exactly the type of people that we're talking about that you would never, ever know that they lived there unless they told you.
Yeah.
Ever. You would never guess. Hey, guess where I live? Oh, I don't know. You live over there? No, I live right here. Wow. So, there's a whole world of reality out there that isn't being addressed. And, I mean, we could go on about bridge housing and stuff like that, but I think we've kind of covered it. It's not going to solve any problems. And in fact, it might make things worse.
Yeah.
But not having a solution will also make things worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Venice rolls on, it just back in the 90s when I first started visiting from Long Beach, there was literal gunfire every night, gunplay up and down the alleys. And and you know what? People thought it was cool. They're like, it's so dangerous. Yeah, I live there. What? You're crazy, right? Why would you live in Venice Beach? There's gang wars going on every night. I'm but it's great. So, I don't know. Is that better? It's the risk of getting shot better? Or those the good old days? I don't know.
No.
I mean, would the people complaining about the homeless people trade the situation now for that? I don't think so. I really don't.
No, of course not. And I mean, that shouldn't even be a debate. I mean, it's so much better.
But that changed, that. Yeah. That's not the case anymore. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. And, you know, what isn't really brought up are the people who live inside. This is the killer, right? The people who live inside, but come out to the beach and prey on the homeless people, you know, and or act as if, or they're, you know, the fake homeless people, like those guys, like,
Yeah.
who, and many of those are the drug folks, you know, or the thieves, you know, in a lot of cases. It's, people need to wake up to reality that, you know, much of the stuff that's going on that people don't like is coming directly from inside.
Absolutely.
Well, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
I think we covered it.
I think so. I did horribly in this interview, but I think I got really hungry halfway through.
Oh, you did fine. You're my yes man. I don't know. You're like, that's true. That's absolutely true as well.
I have a lot to say too, but you know, all of the points you made were pretty much points that I would have made. It's just that you made them. So there you go.
Right. Well, I know.
But I mean, like you're so right about, you know, saying, you know, why didn't that bum get a job, you know, and, you know, well, why don't you get more money and go somewhere else? Because you really aren't, you know, considered wealthy. You just think you are because you're living in Venice.
It's a really stupid argument, you know, when it comes down to it. Like, it's really dumb, like, to have that point of view. Because,
really dumb.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not advocating that that's even possible. Just so you know. You know, like, it's really difficult to break out of a particular class. And if you're on a downward trajectory, like, socioeconomically, that's really tricky. You know what's really important regarding finding a job?
What?
An address.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah, because it's huge. Because you know that you can go to the welfare office and use that as an address, but there's a problem. At the welfare office, you're only allowed to get government mail.
Right.
So you can't have anything other than official government mail sent to that address. And if you use general delivery, like if your zip code is 5 zeros. So when you get a resume printed out or written out at Starbucks on the Wi-Fi there, and you send out your resume to somebody, and they see your address with a zip code of 5 zeros, well, they either think you're crazy, or they're like, this guy is homeless, getting his mail at general delivery at the post office,
right?
And they throw your shit in the trash.
Correct.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing too. That where you know, these people who are going to quote unquote bridge housing, what's their address?
Right.
You know, think about that. Like, they're gonna and then they're gonna live there for 6 months, and in that time they're going to be afford to move out because they have so many skills and so many people are looking to hire them. It's doubtful. There's probably a few that'll make it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You know, I'm kind of a Venice Beach miracle in some ways.
You are indeed. But you're a special.
I was out there. I'm special.
You're a bit of a special one, Marcus. You are. You are.
You know, I made it, and it was only through. It was really only through deciding on my own to do something different, you know?
Yeah.
And no one forced me, but it was a matter of, saying, hey, let's try something different. And, it happened to work out, but I'll tell you this. I am not afraid to go back.
Yeah.
No, I'm not afraid to, like, if I was ever in a precarious, like, financial position again and found myself in a kind of a no hope situation where I didn't have any place to live, I'm no longer afraid to have to go through that because I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate that happening. Yeah. But it's important too to maybe we'll do an episode on how to live outside.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
That might be cool. And then all the homeless people won't listen to it.
Yeah.
Right.
But we should actually.
Because they don't have universal. I'm sorry, say that again.
I'd be really interested to hear, like, how do you live outside?
Right.
I want to hear your.
Right. How do you live outside so the people in the neighborhood think of you as an asset?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
right.
There was a time when I was living out in Venice with my little patch of sidewalk that I befriended the neighbors who lived across the street in the house. And one night they came over and we had a wine and cheese party on my sidewalk. For real.
So cool, man.
They were like, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm like, dude, I don't have to pay any rent. And they're like, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah. It was so
cool, bro.
There are ways to do it, there are ways to do this.
Yeah.
And it's important that, that both ways of living understand, each other's points of view. That's really important. The idea of, because, as I said in the beginning, there are a number of people who live out there because they want to.
Yeah.
And maybe those people are more invisible. Maybe people don't know for sure, like, that their friendly guy at the coffee house is really, homeless and lives on the beach because he wants to. And he may have more disposable income than you do.
Right.
It's true. That's not fair. I pay good money to live in Venice. Well, so does the other guy, but he pays in a different way. He pays in a little bit different way. It's all social capital. It's all there's a cost for everything. And if people are convinced that living outside doesn't cost anything, they're wrong. It's very expensive.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I've got to eat.
I'm going to do a little Sam Harris breathing now. Okay. I'm going to do some housekeeping now.
Hi, I'm Eric Estrada. Do you want to be sold a timeshare? Sorry, man. I gotta go.
Hey, I gotta go too. This was the V2V podcast with Shorts and Aurelius, episode number 27. And don't like this, don't subscribe. Definitely don't ring the notification bell. But please leave a nasty comment because we live for it. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.